Hello everyone, welcome to yet another tutorial. Today we are going to look at how to create a metallic looking dumbbell, a night scene with volumetric lights, and we'll also look at how to create normal maps to create some bumpness into the floor. Okay, so let us look at how to create a scene like this in Blender. So if you have already followed my tutorial for modeling a dumbbell and you already have a dumbbell, then the next step is to move the dumbbell on the floor here. And then I'm going to hit the shift key to duplicate, move it out, click on rotate, and we will rotate it once and then hit the N key and rotate it 90 degrees. Hit the N key again to close it. Again we'll go to the side view and move it onto the floor. Okay. Now that the dumbbells are on the floor, we can move it. Okay, so I just wanted to move it closer actually. Okay, that's fine. So you can use the middle click to look around and shift middle mouse to pan. We'll add a plane and make the plane scale it big. Okay, you can also move the plane a little on that side. Okay, you can scale it further big. Scale it. Okay. Alright, so we look at the camera, go to view, viewpoint camera. So now we are looking at the camera. Oops. View, viewpoint camera. I'll hit the N key on the keyboard. Go to view and lock the camera. Okay, so we'll position our camera. So we want to position the camera so that the longer side is there. Okay, so we'll zoom in and that's how our camera is going to be. Okay, so this is our camera setup, and then once you're done with the camera setup you can get rid of it so you know how the camera is set up. This is our light. If you go to the lights, we'll convert it to spotlight. Okay, so that's the point. We'll go to our camera again, and then the light in my case was coming from the right here, so then you can rotate the light. Okay, so the light is focusing on the object there, and then we look at the size of the light. So this is the size. Now let us click here to see how the scene is going to look in EV. So that's our light falling onto the dumbbells. You can have it come from a distance also, a little far away, and then you can reduce the size. If you want, you can rotate. Alright, so that's how the light is going to come, and then this is the blend. So you can see there's no blend here, and then you can blend the light a little bit. We have the shadows. There is a radius for the light, so if you look at the light here, you can see how the shadows are, and if you increase the radius, the shadows tend to become sharp. So if you want to add some softness to the shadows, you can increase the radius of the light. Now if you go to the shadow parameters in render properties, you'll find shadows there, and the cube size is 512, so if you increase it to 1024, you get little better shadows. And then this is the light threshold, so you can make it 0, and if you make 1, there's no light. So that's about shadows. So we got the shadows for our light. Now we will add metallic material for our dumbbell. So there's a default material, I will name it metal. Alright, and to make the material metallic, all you have to do is increase the metallic property, and then you have to go again to render properties, and you have to turn on screen space reflections. Okay, that is important. So once screen space reflection is turned on, we can go back to the light, and then there's roughness for the light. So if you reduce the roughness, it becomes more metallic. If you increase the roughness, it becomes less metallic. So work with the roughness. Now what is happening is it is looking blackish because it is reflecting the environment, and there's nothing in the environment right now. So we are going to add an environment background. So we are going to go to HDRI Heaven. Okay, go to HDRI Heaven, HDRI, and we are doing an indoor scene. So we'll go to indoor, and then look for any grayish material which will reflect onto the metal. So let us try this one here, Photo Studio. Okay, and then I'll download 2K, show in the folder. I will cut it and put it in my dumbbell folder, paste it. It's called Photo Studio HDR. Okay, so we'll go here to our world properties, go to color, go to environment texture, go to open. We didn't save this file, so it's not pointing in the right direction. So I'll save this file, save it as Blender tutorial. So if I click on open, it goes to that particular folder, and we will click on Photo Studio. Alright, so the Photo Studio material, and then now you can see that the dumbbell is looking much better. Okay, now the strength is too much, so let us dial it down to 0.1. So the environment is also going to get the light from the HDR image. Okay, so we already have a spotlight and we want like a night scene. So we have to dial down the strength of our HDR image so it has lesser impact on the scene. Now we want the floor to be made up of some nice rough texture. So again, I went to stone floor texture on Google. Go to images, go to tools, size large. Okay, and I use this material. Okay, so you can use the same material. Select the floor, go to materials, add a new one, we'll name it floor, and base color, we'll go to image texture, then go to open, then the stone floor. Okay, so now we have the stone floor material. Now we need to create some roughness. We need to show that this grout area is below and the stone is above. So we need to create a normal map. So in Photoshop, we can create the normal map. So I'll open the stone floor and you can see I have created one already here. Go to open, go to filter, 3D, generate normal map. Okay, and then there are a bunch of settings you can play with if you want. How much is the detail scale? You can move these values up and down. Okay, to modify the material as per your liking. Okay, lesser detail, more detail. And then you say OK, and then you save that as a normal map. So let me do it. File, save as normal map. Okay, so we'll go to Blender. Our floor is there. Now there is something called a normal. Here I will go down and click on normal map. And then there's a color option. I'll go to image texture. Then I'll open and add the floor normal. And you can see that there is some roughness to it. Okay, so now we got the floor, we got the light, we got the environment. If you hit a render button, now this render is too big, so go to render setup, render output. I'm going to use 720 by 405. We can later on make it big, but this will be a small image and it will be much faster. Okay, so we have the floor, it has some bumpness, we have light, shadows, and now we want the volumetric effect of the light. So here you can go to shading. I'll show you the other way of doing it. So if you go to shading, and then here you can see all your object material. So this was our object material, and we assigned it stone floor, and then we assigned it a normal map, and then we assigned it a floor image to the normal map. Okay, you can see that there is a strength. So it is flat, it was like this, and when we add, it gets depth, and then you can increase that. But anything above 1, you don't get desirable results. Okay, so 1 seems like a good value to have. So same way we'll go to world, and in the world we can see that we have the HDRI image assigned to our environment background. Okay, and then we dial down the strength to 0.1 here, and then the same value is here. Okay, so whatever properties are here can also be found in the shading window here. So now what we need is volumetric light. So you can see their volume is there. We need to plug in something here. Okay, so the volume is here, then we have to plug in something here. So we need to look for volume scatter. Okay, and a volume scatter is added. Okay, as soon as volume scatter is added, go here, and you can see everything is pretty dark because the density is 1. We'll make it 0.1. Okay, and then you can see that there's volume light here. See, all right. Now what we need is, because of the volume light, everything else has become dark. So we need to increase the intensity of our light. So now we'll go back to our layout, and we'll go to light, and we'll increase the power of the light. So I'll make it 50,000 instead of 1,000. We'll make it 50,000. Okay, and then if you go to render image, you get this effect. Now this is too much, so we will again go to our shading and density, make it 0.01. Okay, so render image, so you have a darkish image. You can play with the light settings, 20,000, 10,000. Then you can add a color to your light, so you get that color viewpoint camera. Okay, so this is what is going to render. Then if you go to the light, you can increase the blend mode if you want, and render the image. Okay, so you have the volumetric effect. Viewpoint camera, and then lock it, and then maybe you can try to change the camera angle a little bit. And render the image. You don't want anything in these corners, so I'm just trying to fix the image. Render image, and you have fog light coming onto your lights. Okay, and that's about it. So we are done here. And if you move to cycles, then you can go to denoising and add an NLM denoiser. Go to render and render image. And this will take some time to render. Okay, and then you can play with the numbers again to add some more. So it looks like it's quite dark in the back with cycles. So we can go to the strength of our environment. I added strength of 1. Let us see how it looks. It's going to take some time to render, so you can play with these values and get your final results. It's going to take around 5 minutes to render. Okay, so that's how basically you can create a metallic object, volumetric light, and a night scene in Blender. Okay, I'm not going to wait for this render, but you can play with the numbers to get the right results. But this is what we get with EV. Now it's too bright, so we'll make this 0.1. Okay, I'm going to render and render image and get the final look of your scene. That's about it. Thank you very much. Bye bye.